We did work the
I'm gonna call him over at 6 o'clock. James, you want to lead some prayer?
Father, we'd like to thank you for another day. We ask you to come into this meeting and guide us, direct us, that we make the right decision to benefit Jeff Davis County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment, we've got Ron Walsh.
Chairman, I just want to know what it would take for me to be notified of the call meetings like y'all notify the ledger or anyone else that has to be notified.
Well, we posted on the board out there.
Yeah, but I don't come to town every day. I mean, it's a simple email. I know with the city, I'm notified when Marion Anderson's notified, and I'm notified when Tommy's notified. It's that simple. Just include me in the mailing list. Can that be done?
Huh? Approve of minutes for September the 10th and the 25th.
Make a motion to approve.
Need a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All vote? So we'll do that. Approve to pay monthly bills. Need a second? Any discussion? All vote? Jeff Davis Development Authority, Direct Manager Taylor, discuss Silicon Ranch.
Good evening. We have, y'all have already actually approved phase 4 for Silicon Ranch's development and the MOU, which stated that Silicon Ranch was going to be installing a new 61 megawatt facility. Like I said, this is phase 4, and basically the only thing I'm asking your approval for tonight is to increase that bond issuance from 47 million to 65 million. The investment is increasing, and they are hoping that to have 2 more additional investments over the next couple of years. They're looking at Jeff Davis County for that location. So basically, the MOU is just, the total abatement stays the same, 50%. It's just gonna change from a 61 megawatt project to an 86 megawatt project, which means the investment will change from 47 million to 65 million. So y'all just, I just ask y'all to approve that bond issuance increase.
And all that is tangible, right? Ain't no like,
That equates to $5.2 million over 30 years in taxes. Split between us and the state.
I'll make a motion to go with the increase.
I second.
Any discussion? All vote?
Thank you.
Hold on just a minute. Andrew Taylor discussed combining the Chamber of Commerce and Board of Tourism.
Ms. Terry Stone is going to address that.
That'd be great.
come today to talk to y'all something that's close to my heart, and I've worked hard on the county to try to make it grow. But anyway, what I'm talking about today is the hotel motel tax. Currently, the county gets the motel tax, and it has the river decided how to distribute it. And it has decided to give it to the Board of Tourism. But according to the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, by law, there's 30, let me get this right. 3% of it, of the 5% taxes, 3% of it can go unrestricted. And you can give that to the Board of Tourism, but the other 2% is restricted. And according to the DCA man, the 2% is only, the only thing that qualifies for this is the Chamber of Commerce. So right now, we're out of compliance with it. But anyway,
If you don't mind, Terry, who was that from DCA that came? I remember when he came last September.
what's his name, Andrew?
Jackson, Lily.
And how long have we been doing it the other way?
You're not being in compliance.
Well, I understand that, I'm just saying.
If you have to receive the funds, you're supposed to be a 501c6. Well, now, Board of Tourism, I'm on Board of Tourism, Jim has applied for that about 3, maybe 4 months ago. But we haven't got it yet, as far as I know. But anyway,
Let's talk about this a little more. Does anybody know this?
I do.
Yes, sir.
You know, you can
We
share with us?
were made aware of this change, you know, the 501c6. And we, you know, originally when the Board of Tourism was formed, the commission originally intended for it to be a nonprofit corporation, but under the advisement of the county attorney at the time, chose not to. And then we've been made aware of it, and said about 2 or 3 months ago. So I've drawn up articles of incorporation, got the paperwork on. It's at the lawyer's office now to be filed. And once we get filed as and it's not restricted to a Chamber of Commerce. It has to be a 501c6 organization, which most of your chambers of commerce are 501c6, but that's not restricted strictly to chambers. It can be other business-focused organizations,
Such as?
a downtown merchant association, or a convention and visitors bureau, or or as we're forming the corporation here, it's called, Jeff Davis, Jeff Davis, Board of Tourism, Inc., which would be focused on the purpose of marketing for tourism. So it qualifies under that, under that statute. Once it's the corporation's filed, then I've already been in touch with an accountant to file for the nonprofit status, so all that's in the works.
As far as we know, this could have been going on for the last 30 years. This didn't just happen.
No, it ain't just happened, it's been going on.
So we've never been a 501c6. We didn't lose it or ran out, somebody filed
you just walk in
paperwork.
compliance.
Right.
But according to the DCA guy, even if 5%, 2% should go to the restricted fund, only one that qualifies in this county is the Chamber of Commerce. Is that wrong, Jim?
Currently,
Yes, because they're the
But
only
when you get the 501c6, you still won't.
no, once we have the status, then we would qualify. And let me also speak to, on because this was addressed at a hotel motel tax seminar that I was at recently. There is unrestricted and non-restricted. The non-restricted, the county could decide to do whatever they wanted to with that portion of it. The restricted part has to be spent for tourism purposes.
The restricted part can only be used for advertising. Wasn't that what y'all understood that went to the meeting?
I don't think that's correct.
Well, that's what the DCA got.
Well, it's tourism purposes, whether you call it advertising, emotional
Marketing your
tourism.
community.
But what the gentleman with DCA spoke to at the meeting is the county in their initial assessment and initial creating the tax and creating the board designated the entire 5% to go to tourism. This gentleman stated once that precedent is set, then it needs to follow through and continue on with the 5% being designated for tourism purposes, and that's what we've done over the years that we've received the money. It's all gone for tourism purposes.
Just somebody a long time ago didn't tell us. that
Can I
2%
address that? Because I was, if y'all don't mind,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce's Tourism Committee. However, maybe 25, 30 years ago, I don't remember how long, it's been a long time ago. And I came to the county commission. First, I went to the city council, then I went to the county commission and asked them to incorporate a hotel motel tax for tourism purposes. At that time, like you said, 5% could go, or 3% could go to tourism, the county could keep 2%. And they could do whatever they wanted to with it. Well, what we talked about that time was taking the 3% to go to tourism, and then the county agreed at that time to use their 2% to also go to tourism. So that's where it came from. That's where it came from. And it was, like I said, it was a long time ago, but that's the way it was set up. And that's why it's like it is.
That's the reason it hadn't come up since then.
That's right. And it was legal at that time. There was no problem with that.
Okay.
The state was perfectly in line.
All right.
And there's, since this law changed, it kind of, and I don't know when it changed, and a lot of people did. So a lot of communities are going through the same thing. They've discovered that they're not in compliance with the 501c6 regulation and are moving to correct that and to get in compliance.
Terry, go ahead. I'm
All
sorry.
right. Also, I gave you a handout of a list of job descriptions of the visitor center coordinator job description and the tourism director in, it was Coffee County. And and also a schedule of what the chamber has done this month. And y'all, our chamber is on fire. I mean, they went from 140 members to over 200 members. And they have to do all that just to have enough funds to survive. And tourism has money just sitting there, not being spent. And also, every money is supposed to be spent in the fiscal year that's received, unless it's kind of wrapped there to the next year, which they're not real strict on it, but it's supposed to be spent. But I suggest that we combine the Board of Tourism, this is just my idea, the Board of Tourism, Chamber of Commerce, and let Jim be over to tourism, Sonia be over to the Chamber, and they kind of split the funds, and Andrea, she kind of oversees it all. Jim's only there half the day. They take over where he stops and let them all move to the big house, because the big house is the front door of our community. Everybody thinks that, I mean, most people think that's a good impression. When people come to Hazelhurst and they go there and look at the big house, it's beautiful, you know. You go to the chamber and it's kind of,
Dead wood.
But that's just, you know, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Thank you.
Do you know the dollar amount we're talking about?
To moving them?
No.
The 5%, what's it equate to? How much?
Well, we get about $8,000 a month.
Now,
In about that. How much?
it's generally runs about 4 to 5 to
Oh,
4 to 6. Now, the last 2 months, it's been over 7, which is the highest it's ever been.
Probably for the solar.
Right. But on the average, it's around 5 to 6 a month is what it brings in.
30,000 a year.
No, you're talking
No.
70,000 a year. probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
78.
just to split it, we're talking about 30,000.
But again,
You're gonna get 3, they get 2.
let me make again, since the county in the original ordinance designated the whole 5% for tourism, then if you split it and part goes to the chamber, that part that they get still has to be spent for tourism-related purposes.
Advertising. The 2% is only can be used for advertising.
Right, well, I guess that's what I'm saying, so the only part that we're even discussing is about $30,000, which is the part that we're saying, yeah, we're trying to decide whether it goes to chamber,
But
or
2%,
tourism, but
but
spending.
2% for the chamber is a good amount, because we have a hard time at the
Well,
chamber.
like they was telling me the other day, they try to do the Easter egg hunt and all this, and they don't have the money over there to hardly do all this, they just raking and scraping that.
Well, look at what they're doing this month, just this month, look at the list of things. I mean, and what have we done at the tourism this month? Jim went to a seminar this month. Now, we do things, they got the beaches, which is a big thing, and he usually does the new things, and barbecue, they're not gonna do that this year. But we need to, I think, even out the money, I mean, you know, all work together, the growth has first, not
That's
just.
what I think. I think everybody would go to the big house, put it all together, and it all work.
Can I say one more thing? When the board was formed, the commission at that time had a very good vision in the fact that they put all the stakeholders in the community involved on the board. The county commissioners have a representative on the board, the city council has a representative on the board, chamber has a representative on the board, development authority a representative on the board, and then there's representatives from hospitality, industry here in town, from general business, and leisure services, which has always been the rec department. So our board encompasses all the organizations in the town, everybody involved has a stake involved. And when the chamber has, like we've got $1,500 earmarked for them for the state cook-off. We've got $500 earmarked for the Halloween event that's coming on, the downtown Halloween event. So we've got money, we don't, when there's a need, and we work with the chamber, and a lot of our missions overlap.
But
So
don't you
then
think
there are a lot
if
of areas
all
where
of
we
them
don't.
to the big house, don't you think they'd all work together?
I think it can work, I think it can work out.
I think it'd be
I just
better.
think everybody ought to come together
And
and put all their stuff aside and let Tazehurst grow. I
That's
mean,
right.
everybody's doing this one way and this the other, but if,
And you got about the same members on the tourism board you have on the chamber board.
right,
Who's the commissioner that's on the tourism board?
It's, Kim is our representative, is the representative you nominated.
But I think I'm not carrying the rest of them. I think everybody ought to come together and get up there and it all work
we
out.
need to make Tazehurst great. I mean, before I die, I'd like to see welcome signs in Tazehurst and it'd be a little bit better. Thank you.
But I'm telling you, I'm gonna make a motion where they all come together, go to the big house, and everything work out.
I want to do more.
But no, we done discussed this. This is the second time we've been sitting here, and you ain't come forward yet.
We discussed the numbers.
You need to come up here and let's get the numbers.
Y'all got numbers on the fixing big house?
But I went to the meeting the other day, I go to all these meetings, but I see what's going on, but you come up there next week, we'll get the numbers or whatever, but this is the second or third time we keep talking about this over and over and over.
I agree, ain't much of us no numbers, but I mean, I'm just one person, but.
But I'll make a motion that we move, let them go.
In discussing this, the big house has got to have some work. A little bit of work. I don't think it's got to be, I don't think it's major. But we do need some prices on getting that done.
Stand
all
up.
I
But why haven't we got those
That's
prices?
right. Well, the other day, they want to put a fence up there. We done talked about a roof 3 or 4 months ago.
Right.
If you'll get these people in this big house, all this will work out. We'll have somebody up there that's concerned.
I think it's something.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
You still think we get numbers before we do anything?
Any discussion?
I think we need a plan, whether it's all encompassing, but right now,
I'm not against it, I just want to know what the numbers is gonna be.
because I hate for chamber to look at.
Can we afford it? Do we got money to do it?
You should have some spots money left over.
I understand that, but do we have enough?
It'll work, I'm telling you.
I got.
You got this package the other day, Brad, and you seen what was on this agenda. You should have come here and got these numbers.
How am I gonna get it?
I
I'm
know
gonna
what
go
it
through
is.
that.
Any discussion? I got a motion and a second.
Does it make sense to try to put a committee together to make this happen, which would be Andrea and her group, tourism and their group.
Yes,
a couple people from our group.
it, well, I mean, you take Andre and Jim and all of them, they get up there together, it's gonna work, I promise you.
But one thing about it, you'll find out what you gotta do when you get to.
That's exactly
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's right.
That's right.
I just hate to find out we.
Well, we're not gonna tear the building down,
Right.
and we got to keep it.
That's right. I mean,
Jim, you tell us, what kind of shades, you're there
I
now.
don't, listen, I don't have no problem with
All
all
right.
three together.
I know.
I just wanna know what's gonna cost to fix it.
Well, let's see what's wrong. Jim's
I
there.
love
well, let me tell you, it's got that, there's some shingles floating off of that there, and most of it got to be a little paint, that's it, paint and put the shingles up.
Structurally, the building is sound. There was damage to the roof that's gonna have to be addressed. It's not currently leaking. At some point in time, it will be leaking because there are shingles missing. There does need to be some cosmetic work on the outside, and of course, most of that is up in the up second story, so it's gonna require, heavy lifts and that type of thing.
But didn't you get that bunch from the other church, go up there and put that other piece up there with that big lift and all?
When they work on
That's
that,
the elevator put in.
Well, we're gonna stay on the first floor.
and
Well, that's my next question. Everybody planning to stay on the first floor.
That's right.
well, I've heard different suggestions on that. Was, the first thing I heard, and of course, I'm kind of blindsided in all this, I didn't know any of this was coming up today. So, there was talk, the Chamber and Development Authority wanted to set their houses upstairs. If that's the case, you've got to have an elevator, and still leave downstairs where it could be rented out for community events.
I
Again,
just remember when Technical was there, but that upstairs was not even usable. I mean, it had so many leaks.
well, it doesn't leak, I mean, it does,
It's just got a few shingles up there. but-
it's got everything on there that needs.
We looked at it, we went all over.
I'm not the contractor.
I mean,
The other thing was elevated.
it's up there, it's air conditioned up there, it needs some insulation to help, because during the summer months, it's hard to keep it below 80 degrees, sometimes even with both air conditioners running wide open during the day. If you have something upstairs, you've got to consider, the ADA, Disabilities Act. There's not a usable elevator there, and that would have to be something that would have to be addressed. Now, they would grandfather the building in and on certain things, but if you move the offices downstairs, then that eliminates the need for an elevator, but it also eliminates the building being used for community events as it did for renting out now, probably 15, 20, 25 times a year. The other thing there is that's a lot more expensive building to occupy than, we're talking about these past few months, even with just, my office being air conditioned, keeping all the other thermostats set at 80 degrees and only having one event. During these 100-degree days, the light bill's been over $1,000 a month.
I somehow remember 3,500 is about what we spent with the kitchen going to Technical College and all that there.
It has been as high as that.
Well, I tell you-
Not to go.
Well, I'm on the Development Authority too, but, I had talked to the Development Authority Board about supplementing the chamber with the electrical bill to pay if we went to the big house, and they said they would. They're half.
We got a first and a second.
I mean,
I'm ready to vote.
ready to vote, any discussion? Need to vote.
What are we voting on? Combine them or?
We gonna vote on combine them together,
Moving them together.
move them together, and put them.
We got two of them.
Are you voting about the funds, or you just voting to
No.
move the people move the organization to the big house?
Move the chamber to the big house, as I understand it. That's it.
That's right, and we're gonna combine the Board of Tourism and the,
Well, we do that now.
Can't put that one.
Right. Because you gotta have two separate entities.
whatever we got to have.
Cover that. I mean, can we combine the chamber and Board of Tourism, then it'd be two separate entities? If you got one's a 501c6, I mean, basically that would absorb tourism under the chamber, because they're not a 501c6.
What are you gonna call yourself?
Yes, they have to be separate
Board
entities.
of Tourism.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
mean, so you can't combine them.
You can't vote, you combine them.
You just basically want 2% of what their 5%, is that it? Okay.
Well, by law, that's what
She
she
don't
said.
want to, she don't want 6% of her money.
But they won't put them now in the same bill,
That's the same bill.
and that needs to be a motion of its own. I think.
A motion to move the chamber from where it is to.
And I'll make a motion to do that.
I need a second.
Already have a motion in a second.
I just can't do that, guys, without knowing what it's gonna cost, but the taxpayers of this county to do that.
Let's vote.
I can probably support that, because I know the maximum what it's going, I mean, surely they're going to be able, and if the development authority is going to do it, to pay for it, out of their funds, the election bill, so I would have to make expenses.
I'm opposed. Until we got votes.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, they need to be together, they need to be working together,
And the thing about it, once we put it together, then if it ain't working, then we can undo it then.
that's what we know, it's so what?
Now, what about this other thing we talked about, the 2%, 3%? What about all that? We won't go over on that, or y'all want to put that off to the next meeting? You hit this thing, didn't
No,
you?
we want, there you go.
Can I just say,
Don't go
we're,
down.
we are not saying we have to have this money. We're saying if we continue to do these events, if we continue to do the Christmas parade, if we continue to do the state cook-off, if we continue to do these events like the community seems to want, we should rightfully have these funds. If,
How much money you got in Board of Tourism, Jim?
Right now,
Yeah.
$70,000.
How much you got in the Chamber of Commerce right now?
about 5,000.
And she's asking for about 30, so I mean,
I'm good with that. I think we gotta do that.
Again, let me cover, the Christmas parade is hard to stretch that into a tourism event. That's a local event. So you got different things, you got local events, you got tourism events. We recently, a couple of years ago, we put in the 2 yurts out of Towns Club Park. And we wanted to look at those for a couple of years, see what the response was there. And that's where we were looking to earmark the money that we've got if we needed to add additional yurts there. We've also, out of that money, $24,000 has already been earmarked to the project for the stage amphitheater at Towns Club Park. I got a call this week from a gentleman, said that there's $12,000 through Altamont River Keepers that's been designated for a project in Jeff Davis County if there's matching funds. I told him we'd get the matching funds if we get the money, and of course, Brad, he was gonna contact you, because he said he needed you, Bill Prince. Okay, he said he needed you. I said, well, the county's got to be involved, and then we got to talk to people at the Towns Club Park, see what project we can do there. And my thoughts immediately went to a large pavilion alongside the new sand dock that's been put in. And so, we would have to underwrite the matching funds for that, which would be a minimum of $4,500. So, yes, we've got money, but there are plans in place for those funds.
They're talking about future.
Like future funds.
That's the first I heard of that.
You want to tell us anything? Because you want to put forward.
yes, ma'am.
Going back to the DCA again, he said if you put too many yurts down, we told him they was putting yurts down there. He said, then you'd have to start having to charge hotel tax on that. And also, about doing the pavilion, Andrea has looked into a grant that we can get, amphitheater, what?
The Conservancy.
The services. Let her tell you about the grant that we might get to put a stage and all free.
Yeah, we've been talking to Senator Blake Tillery about getting some Conservancy fund money, and the applications are due by the end of the month. But what I want to say is, if the county doesn't want to give these funds to the chamber, that's absolutely fine with us. We will just have to take the chamber in a different direction, because as we are now, we are struggling. If we don't get like I said, if we don't get the funds for that, for the tourism-related activities that we do, because we are a visitors bureau, we are the ones that people come to. We do have all the brochures in our office, and we are open, most of the time. That's fine. If the county does not want to do that, that's fine. But we will be taking the chamber in a different direction. It will be a more business organization, which is honestly what it should be. But we can't do those other events that we do. We would be focused more on leadership development, workforce development, networking, government affairs. So,
I think the whole thing is we got two different entities working against each other instead of together, which it shouldn't be that way. Tourism and chamber should be good like.
Right, and we've always worked together in the past, and anytime chambers reached out to us, so, we've got this event coming, we're more than happy to help with anything. If there's, ways that we can do it, we're more than happy to. I said, we've already got $1,500 to go to the state good call. That was talked about adding more, but we've got to have a meeting to amend our budget to put it in there, because all we budgeted was $1,500. They need more, we'd be glad to have them.
We've got to vote though on 3 and 2.
Yeah, the bottom line is, Carl,
Can't make it
am
live.
I understand this right? We cannot give him more than 3%. That is not correct. I thought that's what Ms. Terry said.
To be the 501c6.
But they, you
But I'm talking about this month.
Today, I'm talking about today.
If it's not
Still
ordered.
is in compliance.
But until he's in compliance, we have to only give him 3%. Okay.
So I can't vote any other way, but I can't knowingly, illegally accept something and know it. So till they become a 501c6, this is a moot point, in my opinion. It's gotta be 3-2. Is that correct?
Why don't y'all get the DCA guy to come tell y'all the rules?
Well, we got our legal representation right
But
here. She
the
knows.
DCA is working with organizations to bring them into compliance. It's not like it's cut off right now. If you're not doing it now, you've got to cut it off.
How many years, let me ask this question, because I already know I'm gonna vote anyway, but how many years has it took you to save that $70,000?
You're supposed to spend all that $70,000 a year.
No, I'm asking him, how long did it take to
I
accumulate?
couldn't tell you that. A big part of that came in, we got $30-some thousand at one time for the hotel that was 2 or 3 years in back taxes.
Right, I remember.
Now, and when I moved in, the board had accumulated at that time some $25,000.
So would it be safe to say you probably accumulate 15 to 20 easily each year?
No, sir.
It would not be safe to say that.
No.
But I guess the point is you're not allowed to carry funds over annually, so if he carries $1 year to year.
The unrestricted funds can be carried over.
Unrestricted can.
Make a motion.
Right.
I make a motion that, tonight, that we go ahead with 3-2 split right now, because we are illegal doing what we're doing.
I need a
I'll
second.
second.
Any discussion?
And Carla's gonna get back with us and let us know.
Yeah, we can revisit it, but as of today, since this has been brought to us, we ain't got no choice but to do it.
That's right. That's all but.
I don't think that they're saying that it was illegal. I think what they're saying is they're not in compliance with it. They're all came out and they're trying to get in compliance is the way I understand.
But not in compliance is not right.
Correct. Maybe I'm not saying that DCA is, I have received a letter from DCA saying county cut off the funds.
Oh, okay.
10% too.
We just voted to fix it.
Yeah.
If we know this didn't just change last month, we would have known about it. It might have changed 10 years ago, we're just now doing something about it. We just don't know when it changed. Right.
Okay, we gotta move to the big house. We got 3-2. Okay, y'all will go.
We got to vote.
We don't vote.
Okay.
You voted against it.
On the big house.
Yeah.
Now, you got voted on that.
You voted on that?
Raise your hand.
All right, EMS Director, Ronnie Jowell, discuss new lift assistance.
first of all, I want to clarify about Ronnie Jobber. He's a little taller than a whole lot of you. But I'm here to talk to you about today about a power load system that we had discussed a few months back. This is a device for our EMS units, for our stretchers, to help with the load and lifting of patients and such as that. Our current system now, we've got 3 what's called power stretchers, which when we go to a scene, we can get a person on, or a patient on the stretcher, press a button, the stretcher actually raises up and down power level up to the back. But when it comes to getting in the back of the ambulance, we still have to come back, put them up and actually grunt and put them into the truck. One unit, which is mine and my partners, we still have what's called a manual stretcher. We have to just lift it ourselves and manually move everything. We don't have any kind of power load or power stretcher within. The things with the power stretchers, they're a lot heavier than a regular stretcher like what we use. My partner and I, we're pretty much the most vertical challenged people there are in our department. We're using a truck that's one of the older model ambulances, which when we lift, we're able to handle it pretty much on our own. There are times that all of us have to call for assistance depending on the size of our patients. But anyway, the power load stretcher, what it does is uses a power stretcher like what we got now with some modifications. But what's the big thing is in the back of the unit, when we open the door to pull that stretcher out, we hit a button to disengage it, keep it from being locked. We pull it out just like we would if it was a desk drawer. It pulls straight out, you hit a button, the wheel's lowered to the ground, then you hit another switch, it disengages the whole stretcher, you take it into your seat. You load your patient up, you come back, we hook it up to the stretcher or to the load itself again, hit a button, the wheels come up, we push them in just like we shut the drawer. Now guys and gals, I know that you may not understand all this, but I'm gonna tell you, and I point my finger at myself, Jeff Davis County, we're not rolling anybody any smaller than 200 or 300 pounds. If we ever get to a 100, 200 pound patient, we're tickled, because that's one of our lighter loads. I'm one of the older ones there at the department. I've been there 23 years, something on that order. The lifts are they're just heavy. I mean, that's all there is to it. Fortunately, over the years that I've been there, I only know of 2 back injuries that actually went out with a workers' comp. Both of them required surgery. Neither one of them were able to come back to work. So that ended their career. All the rest of us were on the same boat. We're on the situation where we're only one lift away. We don't know where that's going to be, to where we could be hurt also. These systems that we're looking at would modify every one of our ambulances. I don't know if you've got a quote. You don't have a quote. You don't have one. Ryan, this is Ryan. And Ryan, what is your last name? I don't know.
Jacobson.
Jacobson. He's our sponsor stretcher.
Exactly.
There's 3 of you for Ricky and Brad. There's Kitty saw it. To show you, they actually saw how it actually worked. The cost on this, we'll get you, if you've got some extra, we'll pass them around.
I've got 2 more, sorry, I didn't.
All right, well, I didn't think we didn't make any extra copies. But guys, just for the power loads and such as that, to get everything equipped for our ambulance, we're looking at $106,234.84. The only thing that's not on there, and I don't want to look like I'm trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes, so we're going to give you everything we possibly can that we know, would be the equipment that goes in the truck to get it mounted. There would be 4 units that has to be done, and we're looking at probably, I don't have it etched in stone, but roughly around $1,500 per truck to get that put in to make the equipment work. Now, Sentinel Board of Education, when people come to me and ask for something, I always like to find out if there's really a need and if there's money there available. Now, this is the proposition we want to talk to you about. Earlier, I think you had gave Ronnie the okay to go ahead and start getting quotes or bids on 2 new ambulances. One of the new ambulances that's going to be getting purchased would actually be mine and my partners. And I call it our ambulance because that's the one we drive. It essentially belongs to the county, but it is our unit. Right now, our unit is in excellent shape. It's a man-made machine. Tomorrow it may be torn all to pieces, but so far, we're doing fine with it. We've got roughly a little better than 80,000 miles on it. It's one of the older models, which for us, we like it better because if we have to lift, we hit the back of the truck's low enough that we can lift, we can actually get the patients in fairly easy. The newer models that's coming up that you're purchasing now, believe it or not, the back of the truck is about 2 to 3 inches higher. Now, you think that don't make a difference, but when you curl, and that's as far as you can go, that's as far as you can go. And with that being said, my partner and I, we've talked about it, and we made the proposition, we said, hold off on our ambulance.
Well, I know the other day when y'all picked me up, I had to get off the stretcher and help you get it on in there, you know what?
That's right.
And then I crawled back to the bed.
And it's a difference in those ambulances. But now, our truck, like I said, is fine, we would be willing to sacrifice that. We're looking, I think, and I don't know the quote exactly, but probably $115,000, $120,000 above roughly on the ambulance. If we could hold off on the purchase of that, there's the money possibly for this equipment. Ryan has come, he's got the demonstration unit outside if you're even interested in looking at it. The best way to describe it is, like I said, you pull out the drawer, lower the wheels, disengage, go to your patient, come back, hook them up, get your wheel or button, wheels come back up, and you push them in. It relieves a lot of lifting
When you
and
roll it
stress.
out, it locks and all that, and you have to unlock it to go on with
It
it.
does. I'll tell you this, he was talking about in most states, they recommend or have required those type of units due to the fact that if there's an accident, that stretcher's locked in a whole lot better than what we have to use now with our simple mounts that we have. When you're locked in there, you're secured. If you roll over, the ambulance turns over, you're gonna hang upside down because you're that secured. But that's what we're here looking for, asking that be willing to help us out with that. We've got one ambulance that's gonna be coming in the next year, whenever it's coming in. It will be modified, if you say yes, it'll be modified with the stretcher, with the lift mounts, or the power mount, the whole upgrade. Our other stretchers that we've got, 3 other power stretchers, will have to be modified to work with the power loads. And anyway, all of that's incorporated in this price that we give here. The only thing you're not seeing that I know of, and Ryan, tell me if I'm wrong, but the only thing we're not showing on paper is gonna be the installation fee.
Yes, sir.
$1,500 now.
How much?
1,500?
We're guessing right around that
That's
number.
yes.
That's what we've been
So if
told.
we said 25, we would definitely say
Yes. Yes.
$10,000 over.
So you're saying add $6,000 to
Yeah,
that would
$6,000.
be, I think 1,500 a piece is pretty reasonable. So for 4 of them, you're talking about $6,000. And honestly, it'd probably be a little bit less because the new one that you're building, it would probably be less than that because that one's still in manufacturing process. So retrofitting the other 3 would probably be just a little bit more expensive. But Stryker doesn't modify the ambulance itself. So just so you know, there's a metal plate basically that gets routed into the floor of the ambulance that is the foundation for the system at that point. And the nice thing about that, like Roger was saying, is it's SAE compliant, so the Society of Automotive Engineers has kind of changed the specifications for if an ambulance is in an accident, how do you make sure that that cot isn't bouncing around? Because if your ambulance is in an accident, the most dangerous thing to Roger in the back of that ambulance is stuff that's bouncing around. And that cot, the current system that you use is 20-year-old technology that quite frankly is just not that safe. So most states actually require by statute that any new ambulance meets these SAE compliant specifications. Georgia does not currently require that. There's expectations that they're going to move that direction in the near future, so this would put you kind of ahead of the curve from a statutory standpoint, but it immediately makes your patients and your EMS providers a lot safer.
What do you think about the state said this?
So the published useful life on them is 7 years. It's like anything else, the amount of use that it gets is going to determine that, and then the maintenance and taking proper care of it. It's not unusual to see cots that are running longer than that. The power load itself, that the fastener that mounts in the back of the ambulance, is about 8 years old, the technology. So the first systems that we built are still in use. We haven't reached 10 years on the technology for me to say, hey, here's what it looks like in 10 years.
So how long, Roger, does a record card last? The one like y'all use?
How long, again, it just depends on everything else, the maintenance and actually the use of it. But as often as we get trucks, most of them go to the trucks. So it was every time we come around, so it's.
But no big deal with pulling these out and putting them in new trucks as we got them, another $1,500, $2,000, take it out, install it in the next one, so we're not buying something that's gonna last 7 or 8 years, and put it in an ambulance.
Now, on 3 trucks, you're taking the power stretchers, which have been fine, we've had no problems with it, on 3 trucks. They will come out, and each one of them's got a different year that we've had them, so I can't tell you exactly what. But they'll be modified to fit this power load. The only one will get a brand new stretcher already equipped for the power load, and that will come on the new truck when it comes.
Have y'all got somebody done that can modify these?
Yeah, what do we have it? We don't here, but there is, matter of fact, Custom Works where we're getting our new truck. They will be able to do that one there, and then there's some off-site areas that Ryan has told us about that we can contact, and they will come do it on site, am I correct?
How much are we saving by modifying versus just replacing?
On cots, so if you look at the quote that's in front of you, I think you're spending about $2,000 to modify the older cots. And then if you look, you have one line item for one brand new cot that is right around 15, I think.
Right.
So you're saving 13 grand by upgrading or by modifying those cots rather than buying new ones.
Right. So it's only, we only spending $1,500 on the cot we got.
And we think, as far as we know now, that those stretchers are fine, the cots, whatever you want to call them, are fine. We don't foresee any problems with them. Right now, like I said, everything's man-made, so we don't know for sure, but right now, we're having no problems.
And you feel confident that your ambulance, you're satisfied with it, and it's gonna last?
Right.
To give us time to pay for this?
I'm gonna answer
Instead of new ambulance.
I'm gonna answer this way, Roger, whether we got this or whether we're gonna take that off the table, Roger, we're gonna give you a new ambulance, or you can keep your truck. I'll get my truck. If there was anything wrong with it, I would modify it. I'm not a big fan of the big trucks either. I would keep my truck right now. I've got just, I don't remember, just a little better than 80,000 miles on it, I think. We had some air conditioning issues. Our biggest problem with our trucks is the jet fuel. Those sensors go bad, we have to change all that out, the injectors and all that other stuff. But other than that, other than an air conditioner, that's really the biggest problem we have with our trucks. We have, Jeff Davis, you commissioners have helped us out a lot. We've got one of the best fleets in surrounding counties. We've got good equipment, and we appreciate that.
How many miles you put on?
We're probably, how old's your truck? My truck's, this is 19, 14, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood. And we usually about every 4 years, we're rotating out trucks.
10,000 miles?
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of miles on
There's,
One thing I'd like to add, I went out to the hospital here a while back, blood drawn, and it happened to be this part that works with draw my blood. One thing she mentioned to me, real nice about it, and then I actually got to see her do it, but if you go there and watch a demonstration on their truck, what she said was, and it's true, she's literally like bench pressing that person. To put them in that ambulance, she is bench pressing.
And this is gonna take all that out. It's gonna make your life easier.
Well,
It's gonna make my life easier.
And it could be safer for the
and I'm not 100% sure,
Versus
I'm not 100% sure, but I've not checked into it, something you may want to look into. And with the purchase of a good possibility with this type of device, you would think that some of your insurance might get a break on that, because you're taking a lot of the liability or the stress off of your medics. Gentlemen, I know there's, everybody looks at money, and I don't know what your timeline is, but I need to let you know that this, Ryan has actually let me know that there had been a 3% increase in this price, but they have not reflected it in this. They're letting us have it this month. In October it was, when there was a 3% increase, but his bosses has let him hold this out for for this month anyway. Not putting pressure, I'm just telling you, to look at it. If you decide 6 months down the line, if you decide to wait that long, and I hope you don't, but if you did, there's gonna be an increase on the back one. Right now, we're at 3, it's already, if you went out and buy them tomorrow, there's gonna be a 3% increase on what you're seeing here, from what I understand. You got it, you ready?
I make a motion to proceed with this.
I second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All vote?
Thank you, gentlemen, we certainly appreciate it.
Approve and deny budget amendment for FY19.
Well, it is, last year's budget, the accounts is just reappropriations that you have to do to the right departments. So you just approve what they did.
Just
I'm-
a balance sheet.
I'm gonna make a motion to add tax assessors, but $18,660.
That's not in this one.
This is last-
Hold on.
This is last
That's
year.
last year.
This is last year.
It's
You
gonna
do
go
it
down
this
this
one.
one. I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments for FY19.
I'll second.
All vote? Any discussion? All vote? Approval of safety coordinator resolution. I've got a sheet in there. He's gonna tell them a little about it. Kim?
She's our safety coordinator.
We have a safety coordinator program which allows us, if we do certain stipulations throughout the year, we get about $8,000 discount every year. This just is a mandate that says we've established a safety officer, or safety coordinator for the county. I fill that position and we follow all those obligations, and so we just need to have a resolution that states that we're doing this.
I'll make a motion to adopt this resolution for safety coordinator.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All vote? Approval internal agreement, internal government agreement between Jeff Davis County Board of Commissioners, Sheriff, and Board of Education to provide for one school resource officer to the Jeff Davis school system and to provide for the payment of salary and benefit to said officer.
Actually, y'all voted to allow the sheriff to hire a school resource officer several months ago. However, because we were going with the Board of Education and the sheriff and the Board of Commissioners, we didn't have to run into an intergovernmental agreement. So Board of Education's attorney drafted one, and they sent it to the sheriff. The sheriff made changes. He's happy, I think, with it now as it is. The school board adopted it last week. We just have to finish on
And we're still being reimbursed for the
Yes.
salary. We pay it, and they reimburse us, we pay the benefits, is that correct, sir?
Yes.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? All vote. Discuss and approve LMIG 2020 project. I've got some things on the phone that month. Roads.
Okay, I sent y'all some emails, all that information on it. And on the L meeting, we had said, if we put all the numbers together, for this year's L meeting, we could go from 221, without telephone rate on Post Road. That's an option, I sent you. We wanted to do that.
And I looked at that road, I didn't know. You said from their telephone road to 221.
Douglas Highway.
Caution, and I think can we go somewhere else besides that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, anywhere we want to go.
I mean, it ain't deep striping, but it's a straight road, which probably.
Just slightly off of it, now we got a lot of truck traffic coming down it. and that's
But
all.
it's about every 3 miles, you might see a bunch of nothing. I mean, it ain't bad. It's on the track. But I could go somewhere else.
Well, the option is you can do them all in your own districts as well.
You can take your, 9
27 miles. we've got that help on it, and we've got to paint the roads. And, I'm for letting you have it for your, for the, post road.
And here's my thought too, I'd give mine up as well, because, I've talked to some other folks that might give them, would give us some money for DOT to finish it out. So with our three, we can probably still.
Make that road clean.
Yeah, and part of my T-Splosh plan depended on that road being paved, because then I'd be able to take Bell Telephone into our grader and turn it, come all the way to the Zora, which has become a big traffic concern.
That's just a connector road between two major highways. I'd like to see it.
And even though that's, it's not my district, it still supports my people, because they all come that way. So I've had as many calls as Brad probably has about how bad that road is. I mean, if you're in a truck or trailer, you're going off the road probably 5 times between the Douglas Highway and that caution line.
You've got some of my roads listed in T-Splosh, so.
I need a motion. Well, I mean, he's just gonna tell you what roads that he wants to do, and,
Well, you keep them all, Ted. You're gonna take your mile and a half, a mile.
so,
We need to vote on it?
Yes, you gotta vote on it.
So we're going, are we
For
going
this
for
next year.
us three to combine ours and do as much as we can on both roads?
and then hopefully we'll get the DOT through our representation, at the state. Put in the rest of the money.
We're gonna have 3 or 4. Four.
I got another road.
Yeah, we got Rick's too.
So that's 4.
Yeah.
Just only take Jason's out.
Right.
And then he'll furnish what he wants.
We'll give it a road tomorrow.
I need a motion to go on pay post road from 221 to Battle Telephone.
And let me ask you this, in talking to, it may, if we're not gonna be able to finish it, the indication I got is better to start at caution light and go towards 221 versus vice versa, just because it seemed to make a different mindset turning off that Douglas Highway if you had a little section that we weren't able to finish as far as getting the state to help us out.
How long is that road? How long is it?
6
I
miles.
think it was right at 6.
6 miles.
We'll be close, but I mean, we probably ain't gonna get there, but if we can do that, instead of starting at 221, start at caution light instead, we can force it better, not force it, but ask for it better if it's going to Highway 221, a little bit we need to finish.
But they'll probably, you tell them, they'll probably start at that line and go that way.
They will.
I want a motion, we're gonna pay Bell Telephone Road to 221.
I make a motion that we combine our resources and pay for caution light at Post Road, Bell Telephone Road, 221.
As far as we can get.
All right, we can do that.
I second.
Any discussion? All opposed? Next on there, to discuss approved TIA T-Splosh project.
No.
Y'all, I'm gonna, let me make a comment on that for y'all. Keep sending us all email, let us know what roads and all that, but this T-Splosh thing, this thing goes out 10 years. And I'm not a road engineer, so I don't know, I know what roads that need fixing today, but I don't know any. So my suggestion to y'all would be, let the hospital then decide which roads needs it worse. Who's ever district it's in, let's spend the money.
But didn't they used to come in and grade these roads somehow that?
Well, he's got them listed, ones he listed on that thing, and some of the ones he feels.
They may all be James's district, I don't know which ones are gonna last.
You can do that.
Is this just to resurface or to?
It's whatever you choose.
Could be paved.
Pay
But here's my only comment to that. I agree with you 100%, but in talking to Chad today, he identified a road that didn't make sense. So I said, well, Chad, I understand the road's in bad shape, but it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't. So he came back and he said, you're exactly right, looking at the map. I appreciate your input, let's change it to this and this. So he did that.
Right, so let's do that, and with us approve them, let's let them pick them.
And then we'll come back.
Because they do know more about roads. I don't know anybody in here that knows paving. Well, James might know something about paving, I don't.
Well, it is, to me, and still, to me, it's an expectation.
10 years out, when
your expectation might be higher than mine. You know what I'm saying? When I see it, oh man, this is nice. But you like this is.
So they the experts, you know, they know
Now,
that.
let's have a motion.
You want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we get the experts to tell us which roads they think needs,
And we pick,
and we pick from there.
Okay. Yolanda?
Hold on.
Y'all done paid Hostetter to do that. If y'all go back, when the road was so bad out in Bell Telephone Community where Larry Brantley's road at, Hostetter came in here and did a survey for y'all. And there were several roads you've already done. That work's done been done.
We
We
got
just
it.
need to go back and look
We
at it.
got all
We
that.
got
We got it.
But we just want him to take and tell us which ones that's already been surveyed and to pick is the ones that's the worst ones, right?
That's what. Let me make sure.
You know.
On the TIA, I've done some checking today to make sure, because I wasn't, this was done before my time, 14 years ago. So we were in a meeting today, and so I did ask Brett Minnis. You don't have to actually vote on them, but y'all need to approve them. You don't have to vote on the TIA. So what I would like to do is get Chad to send us, but we got to have them quick now. Just got to have them. We can't, we've got a deadline. We don't want to miss that $4 million. So let's let him send them hopefully tomorrow, the roads that he suggests. And I'll send them out to you guys, and y'all answer me back, saying this is it, and then he'll put them in.
well, this, for your information, is $750,000 worth that he's already, we've had a long drawn out discussion. He agrees they're worse, so these are them for my area. Now, he may find some else that need a great need, but
Let's let him
he agrees.
list out.
Right.
And that's just what I want all of us to do, you know, if they $750,000 in Hankton territory, and there's $2 million in James and 500 in mine, let's just take their advice.
They know.
Well, and you can still agree or disagree with them.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll still change it if you
Yeah,
don't.
keep still, I'd rather switch it.
Well, you wanna make them?
You don't have to have
We don't have to have one.
We don't want that? We ready to move on?
I checked on that today to make sure Brett Mann running that show.
Well, we gotta make sure that this thing gets voted in May of 2020, because if not,
That's the key.
if not, you throw all this out.
All this
the window.
out. Because the one we're in today will finish up 2022. And this, if it's approved by the voters, then it'll start.
But what's the progress of that? What they like finishing up on?
There's Philadelphia Church Road, we looked at, I think, today. Elizabeth, was it? I can't remember, there's several roads left, and then, of course, part of that, they put in their new bridges. That's a regional part.
And here's something Brad would be interested in, because this make even more sense. Satilla to Elizabeth takes us all the way through the Douglas Highway, and that's got to still be done before 2022. It's part of it. So Satilla Church starts with the Alma Highway, takes us all the way through the Douglas Highway, and that's two of them right there, which
And John Long's on there too.
John Long is, yes, it is. John Long is on there. Real quick, it's C.A. Homes, which is out there, John Long, Bridgeford, which already done, Pat Dixon, Buford, John Osborne Road, J.A. Young Road, W.H. Smith Road, McDaniel Road, Philadelphia Church, Satilla, and Elizabeth.
J.A. Young's on there, but it's already been done.
Right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a lot of these been
That's
done.
one we got.
Right. The two that haven't been done that I'm aware of is Satilla to Elizabeth, and that's,
I think there's like
a
3 or
big
4.
That did John Young's way. That was from, Trailer Steel to Pat Dixon.
That's just what he's got there is a list that they're gonna pick for us now for after 2022 to 2032.
They all need
Yeah.
All right, that, everybody satisfied with that?
I am, yes, sir.
All right, next, any new old business?
We'll go first, sir.
If you don't mind. This is a courthouse security plan. All over, we have to have one in place, and since Judge Wilkes retired, we had to get a new chief judge, it had to be approved by him. So it was, presented to him, and he read over and approved it. There was a few tweaks from the last policy to this policy. I don't know if y'all want to discuss or anything, any changes to it.
Y'all
or
can't
whatever.
have copies. I mean, by law, he's not allowed to pass out copies, that's why you don't have one in your.
I mean, how much,
But it's just about the security of.
what you do there in court?
Well, on an everyday basis, the court is primarily,
Right.
and like I say, there was some tweaks, done to it, modifications made from when it was done 2 years ago when Wayne Hall was chair. And if there's anything that y'all want to discuss about that, we just have to do it behind closed doors.
Okay.
So really all we need to do, if you will, approve it, just take the chair and signature.
Need a motion to approve this?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Any discussion? All vote. Any new or old business?
Yes, I need y'all to approve the new employee for the road department to replace one at that road.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll say.
Any discussion? All vote.
One other one, we purchased a truck recently for the recreation department. The fire chief also is needing a truck. His has got, I think I got it right here.
200.
Yeah, it's got a lot of miles on it. I think I sent y'all the email. He's got 240,000. It's a 2005. And we've been doing a lot of repairs on it.
That's that old version.
Yes, and right now, through that same company, we purchased the rec department truck. They happen to have a 2014 F-150, 60,000 miles, a 16.5, and he has that in his swash. And he's been driving around some, and he would be satisfied with that truck. It's a four-door. Y'all would.
You got money to pay for it, right?
Yes, and his own swash, if it comes out of there, there's money that, that really the voters have already.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to satisfy with the clerk wants, if he's got money, that we approve it.
I'll say.
Have a second. Any discussion? All vote. Discussion, any new or old business?
I will amend the budget on the tax assessment. I'm gonna make a motion to amend it, $18,660.
What are you, where's that amount coming from? What's it going to?
It's going to the tax assessor's office.
I understand that, but I need a line item before I approve that. Well, I just,
Now we'll discuss it. All right? I've been going to the meeting, and we chose those, we've elected those guys to be on board. And, we've discussed it, and the bottom line is, we can't discuss their salaries.
I understand that.
But the thing about it, Brad, is we have been telling them we was gonna do something with their budget for a long time, but we haven't done anything. They've asked for $18,660, that board. We appointed that board. I didn't appoint all of them, I appointed one of them, and I trust each one of them on that board, and I think they've done a good job. And I'm just saying, that's what they're asking for, I'm 100% sure they're not throwing the money away. But that's my motion.
Did they send us a request for that, or they just told you that?
They told me that, but they've said things, I think they.
But all I got to say about it, we've talked about this thing for 4, 5, 6 years, and we told them this and told them that. I mean, look, I've even asked them, if we're not gonna do it, tell them you're not. And we told them that we was gonna do it. And
I was on a meeting last week, and after the, where they just talk about that, some of their tax assessors, as everything go up, they might get an increase on this percentage.
We're gonna have to know, we have to know by line item where to put that money. It has to be broken out by line item. It
Well, I
has
make
to
a
be.
motion for $18,660.
Where's it go? Because I have to know where to put it.
They'll give you the information.
Oh, okay.
How we gonna vote on it, though?
Well, I got a second. Let's vote.
There you
We
go.
got discussion in the back.
You wanna know where it goes?
Yeah, come tell me.
Yeah, come over and talk to us.
Yeah, what we asked. Yeah, I can see you sitting back there. But like you said, now you don't go discuss these people's.
That's right.
Right. But salaries.
I apologize for not getting you up.
Not a problem, sir.
Oh, no, we can't do that.
What the line items are,
That's what it is.
what basically was in our written budget that we submitted. There's $7,500, I can't find my notes, I'm going by memory. There's $7,500 that'll go back into the office supply business, which will pay for the mailing of notices that we are required to do by law. There'll be $5,000 in it for Kathy Young, chief appraiser, going back 2 years. And there will be $2 an hour for Heather Merritt. There is an additional approximately $2,000 in there that will go towards simply holding in reserve for when Caitlin gets her level 1, she will get a little bump. And if we need to get a new printer or monitor or something like that, rather than having to come to you guys every time we do something, that's what it's for. As Mr. Wilkes very eloquently said in his letter that he sent to Dr. Hobbs and the administrator, he urged extreme caution in trying to use the budgeting process to control the actions of the Board of Assessors. I would ask at least 3 of you to vote for it so we can put this thing to bed and quit this monthly bickering. Any questions?
About y'all, but I'm doing monthly bickering, so I wish you would restrain
Well,
that
they're not
comment.
coming up here and asking when we can have the meeting that we were promised 18 months ago. And you know about that meeting, because you and I talked about it at your house.
But
We all know about it, we all know about it, everybody's aware of it.
We should.
So, any other questions?
So, so the two line items are $7,500 to office supplies and $11,000 for salaries and expenses.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I understand that comment has been made that if you just gave us a lump sum, we'd give Kathy 10. Ain't gonna happen. If that happened, you would have my resignation on your desk, Mr. Chairman.
I don't know where you heard that.
Funny how
I've never heard anybody here say that.
Funny how the rumor mill works around this place. It's usually pretty accurate.
Well, I make a motion. James, do a second. Mr. Chairman, it's your ball game.
I need a second.
You got it?
I need a vote. Any discussion?
That's the line item.
Yeah, $7,500 office supplies, $11,000 salaries. Did you say 18,500? What was your?
18,660.
Well, it's $160, yeah. Okay.
That's what that board, I've been going to the board meetings, and that's what they've discussed.
I got a motion and a second.
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion? Let's vote.
Vote.
Hank? Right. Y'all told. Ricky? That's right. I know what you're talking. I mean,
I'm not opposed to all of it.
well, I mean,
I'm just trying to.
it's been going on for about 6, 8 months now.
Right.
And, like the man said, you need to put to sleep.
So what's our reservation here? I mean, there's 3 of us that didn't vote just then. Now, it's not dead, so what's your reservation?
Well, I'm gonna just tell you, we told them 6, 7 months ago, or how long is it?
It's not a reservation, you approved it.
I mean, that's vote.
But he's the time.
Yeah, you got the vote.
No, he could have made it 3-2 just now.
I can't vote, but the chair don't want to vote, that's a tie.
That's not true.
No, we found that out last meeting. Did we not?
Well, I'm just be honest with you. I mean, we told them that, let them have it. I mean, we told them. I mean,
We're waiting for the vote. We're waiting for the vote.
Well,
We
yeah.
don't have time, there's 5 people sitting.
You got a motion and a second.
Now we vote. We
All
got
right.
voted.
I just want to understand if,
I mean,
I really don't have a reservation with the amount of money it is or anything else. So I guess my only concern is nobody else in the whole county, has gotten raises, except the road department, which we promised them 2 years ago.
we told them that there would be no raises after July.
That's right.
We would come back and amend this budget. We're at 5,000, 10,000, or 2,500. That's what we stand.
We told them we would do something.
We would do something. I mean,
You are correct.
that's right, we did. I mean,
And I just threw a figure out there that they discussed.
You got 2 votes, so what's?
We got 2 votes, we need,
What's the whole?
okay, what's that? If we get a third vote, you voting?
yeah, but,
Okay, well, that's 3.
All right,
wait,
so
wait on back.
here's the deal.
Okay,
Uh,
we still discussing, we're trying to vote.
Oh, he's still discussing.
Yeah, I'm still discussing. We,
I thought he was third vote.
you discussed it. Come forward. You got a second, now we discuss.
He did ask us to vote,
And y'all did,
and we didn't vote.
but I thought we were still discussing.
Let us be, that's it. Go ahead, we're waiting on you.
So, 18.5 satisfies all,
1866.
18.66 satisfies.
The board.
And I guess, we can't specify.
That y'all chose.
Where this money, right, we can't specify where this money goes anyway. We just.
That's exactly right.
That's all we
But it's
do.
gotta be on a certain line.
Got to be by line.
Given,
It doesn't have to be by line.
we're given.
Yes, it does. It has to be by line. That's the way we do our budgets.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, I got 2 members on that tax assessor board, and, I can't hardly say that I would put them in a position where they can't do the job.
That's right.
So that's their recommendation, I guess I have to support that as well. Now, well, we still discussing. Anybody else got anything else to say?
No, but I don't.
But I'm with you, we told them we were gonna do something, and we need to do something, I just wasn't expecting that high of a number.
I wouldn't either.
Well, only difference, the only difference between $2,500 and maybe $100.
Yeah,
I mean, there's worth a little bit of money, but $3,000 ain't,
that's about 5,000.
well, 5,000, whatever, but this, he's been to the meeting, they on the board, they come, they said their board needs this. Just like the sheriff come, he needs this.
The taxes as a whole.
We just voted, since we're in discussion, we just voted to buy a truck for the fire department.
Yeah.
Now, we hadn't got that ISO rating yet with all these fire departments we build in this county. And we need to be getting that done. Now, we're still voting to buy trucks.
We've.
So let's finish this up.
You please.
Yeah, I think so.
Anybody got anything?
I'm good.
We done got a motion and a second, discussion, everybody vote.
I made a motion, any second, all those in favor, right?
That's not all in favor.
I'm voting.
So neither one of y'all voted?
Oh, I voted. I done voted for it. I'm ready to go
Hold
on.
on.
I'm going on loose more business. All right,
And I want to go on record that I'm not against that, just not against that amount. I mean, just not for that amount.
all right, any more new or old?
Yeah, I want to bring up the Baxley Highway project, rec project, that we in agreement with with the city on, allowing them to put a splash pad there. In return, they were supposed to pay for half the cost of our renovation of the restroom and concession area out there. We have a contract with them on that. They would also pay for half of a playground facility. We have a contract with them on that.
We got an MOU, I think, right?
And, you know, it's sitting out there and I don't know if y'all been out there, but if you haven't been out there to the bathroom, I encourage you to go.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Well, how do we, I wasn't in here when y'all voted on that, but how do you fix it? What do we need to do?
Well, the city ain't got no money to do that with.
But I mean, but the contract, it's a contract, right, Keith?
Oh, they signed the contract.
Well, what do we need to do to get it completed?
So it wasn't in a government agreement?
Yeah, it was.
Yes, well, we all at this table was involved in it.
Well, the city ain't none of their fault.
That's correct.
And, you know, if we got to go on or finish it or whatever we need to do with that project needs to be finished.
I totally agree.
Whatever y'all decide, let's do it. I mean, I don't know.
So you're saying finish it
I mentioned.
regardless of what the city does?
Here's my suggestion, y'all. We don't got to have a playground right now.
Put it back.
And the playground was probably half of what it was gonna cost to do theirs. So, you know, we can postpone the playground and maybe Ricky or somebody can talk to the city and see if they'll do the playground. Maybe if they can't do it right now, maybe.
But I talked to one of the city councilors the other day, and he hadn't called me back. But he told me he would see about it.
But my suggestion is either let's move ahead with the renovations of the existing one and or get a price to build a new one, which I don't think is gonna be a lot.
And that place out there, it is packed by the every
Yes,
day.
it is.
And them bathrooms and off.
We probably do without a playground for a little bit.
Oh, we got to have that.
Gotta have that.
I mean, that's,
What would you do, just do another building, another building?
Yes.
yeah, I would say get quotes and, I mean, if it
That's
was,
what I do.
And the city would furnish water out there, don't furnish water? Yeah. I'm asking.
Well, we may get a bill.
Now, them bathroom
no,
now.
they do not. We get a bill for new buildings.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious, yes.
Yes, sir. If we look at our public building slots, if we look at our public building slots, so far we got about $105,000 built up. And from the old, we had $67,000 left. So if you add them two together, we got $172,000
That we can put on bathrooms.
that we can put on that building.
All that facility. That's a no-brainer.
Well, we had a quote on redoing that building, it was around 40, wasn't it?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, I think. My suggestion is we get us a quote on the new building and take the old building and gut it out and use it for storage. Because you gotta have stuff out there, places now. The way the kids play football and store your equipment.
And I've done this thing, but can we add the bathrooms onto the farmer's market? Or is that too far out of the way?
That's too far.
Yeah, what we were gonna do, I think it's kind of, and it ain't just bathrooms, that's a concession stand as well. So there's not a concession
You
out
want to
there.
centrally located?
Yeah, a concession stand and two bathrooms.
You can, is there any way you can, trying to see, you can't incorporate that thing to do something like, they could have outside events as well?
What's that?
Maybe like a,
It was specific when it was given to the county, it was leased to the county.
When they give us that lease a while back, or when they give us ownership, let me say that, it was to be used for recreation purposes only. And they approved what was to be put out there, which was the playground, the multi-purpose fields, the farmer's market. See, but we had to give the city, after we became ownership of it, we gave the city an easement to put that splash pad. They don't own where that splash pad is, they have an easement.
Why don't we let Keith or some of us get with city and see where they at on it?
If they ain't
If
proceeding.
they ain't on it, let's move on and get that, because I go out there pretty regular, the only thing I hear is bathrooms.
Yeah.
I went and looked myself and that also cost my house, but you know what?
There's a library.
Yeah, go to the library.
Y'all want us, let's get some quotes on
Yeah.
it.
Need a motion, or make a motion?
But what size building, you know, what you think? I mean, it's roughly similar to the same size that's there. I mean, I don't know what that measurement is.
I
That would be,
It's talking to the rec department and their board called, and I'm good as I remember, that's scary, but it was like a 40 by 60.
Here's the easiest thing.
That sounds right, Brad.
probably in that neighborhood, yeah.
The middle school recently built that one over there, right in the center of all their ball fields. So take a look at it and see what
Oh,
you
yeah,
got.
But we don't got to have one like that.
Oh, no, that's not even home. You gotta go look at it, we can't.
That's
afford
about
that.
300.
I seen it from the road.
Yeah, that's like 340,000 building.
Gotcha.
It's an octagon building.
Yes.
Have you seen it that
Well, one
close?
thing about 40 by 60 foot, 2 bathrooms in a section. You do build
Why don't you get with, Bruce out there and see what he recommends?
I think that's the size they've been saying. But does that make sense in building size?
Yeah.
40, that's pretty good. For 2 bathrooms, and see, they gotta be ADA accessible, handicap, we showed up there, we have today, you know.
Some bathrooms, wherever you put them at, are they gonna be accessible like from the farm market too?
Yes, they want to walk over.
I mean, if they don't have no games going on, they can still access them pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Without being behind the fence or something.
Yeah, we're gonna have it where you can use it.
I got
Got
you.
to do that, yeah. But old complex. That's why it
What's your motion, Brad? Who's gonna make a
Well,
motion?
I wasn't counting through that, and we didn't talk, we didn't discuss it, but that whole, the perimeter of that place is gonna have to be fenced.
sooner or later. Now, let me say something about that. If you put a fence up today, if you got there tonight, we have a little league football. There's no charge, because there's no way to charge. You cut from every angle. But everywhere everywhere we go play,
That's a job.
there's a charge, you pay to get in. So eventually, if you put a fence up, if you was gonna charge admission, $2 or whatever, eventually probably would pay for the fence, but it'd take a while.
All right, so let me ask you your concern about the fence, because I go to schools all the time, ball fields all the time, the perimeter, even on US 1, the perimeter of Appleton County High School is not fenced. Just the ballparks are fenced. And if you go to our middle school right now, the perimeter is not fenced. It's not a requirement, so I mean, what's your
Not a
rationale?
requirement, but yes, I mean, the stadium is, the perimeter of that stadium is fenced.
Now, I'm talking about where all the, if you go to Appleton County, US 1 is not fenced off from the ballpark. All the park except the one little field is fenced. Right, so each field we got is fenced.
Let me tell you, we got into that,
I guess,
You can talk about, I was just saying, you
The field is-
you got a way in that field, you got to pay to go in that field.
well, let me
you're
tell you
talking
something.
about it from a pavement standpoint.
Or controlling, I mean, paving and controlling, and safety too. I
It's a
mean,
good idea, I just don't see.
Well, you know, one time here years ago, when I was on the board, we tried to charge $1. Tried to charge $1 for parking, I had to run the person. Boy, off the phone call, the man never got me his life.
You probably got charged for going in, you can't charge for walking.
It's the same thing, you charge for $1, go ahead.
They probably
That
pay.
you ain't gonna get it at the gate or the car. That's all.
They
It'll
won't
last
go-
2 days.
Now, the counties now, here, they don't charge like for a red can. But I'm talking about they charge for tournaments.
That's
When
right.
you make an
Tournaments.
when it gets to all-star level.
Right.
Then you got these traveling,
They all come in and use your
well, you
facility.
got people to watch.
Well, let's get on.
So can we do the bathrooms?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we proceed with whatever is, to get quotes on a new building and proceed with the bathroom and concession area.
I'll second.
I need a second. Any discussion? All vote. Yeah, look. You was looking at that paper. Any more new or old business? Meeting adjourned.
Dean, how you doing? Glad.
Rhonda, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
When you gonna get out of that food?
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
2 more weeks.
Over.
Omar's going to.
Yeah, we got Chris for class this month. We're all good, right?
Just, I ain't gonna let it.